He and I have to definitely debate. That's what I love.
Hello, humans, and welcome to AudioFace. This is an irreverent podcast about the music news and music culture that mostly matters. I'm Dan.
I'm Sean.
And this is episode 309 of this podcast where we oftentimes told you so. Democrat. Anyways, this has nothing.
Where are you going with that one?
This is there's a lot of ways to go with that one. I think we have, there's too many options, right?
Too many notes.
Not like us reference, because we're still out here this summer. But yeah, we have 3 albums for you this week. Bad Cameo by Checks Notes, James Blake and Lil Yachty. All right. Crash by Kehlani. And breaking a lot of AudioFace tradition, more because of like, I wanted to do this album earlier in the year, and then Kendrick Lamar decided to go to thermonuclear war, and so we decided to like focus a lot of time on that. But this is Chappell Roan's record that is really kind of taken the music world, at least in the United States, by storm. And I figured, what a way to send off Pride Month and go back to hating. I'm just kidding. Then by doing the Chappell Roan review now. Plus, we have a little bit of quick hits music news, and yeah, that's pretty much what we got here. That's how it's going.
Sweet.
Ready?
Let's do it.
Cool. Give me just a second to get these things ready. Well, it's okay, because I only need just the second. This is, I love this album cover so much, like so much.
It's one of those album covers you look, you're like, that shit's hard.
Yeah. Also, I'm gonna try to align myself up with your head. You're
I mean, I can align myself. Want me to align myself with you, or what?
A little bit more. You got a lot of headroom. You can line down a bit. Yeah, perfect. Okay, cool. Obligatory Sam adjusting the camera thing. Okay, this is Bad Cameo, a collaborative project, perhaps a one-off, between James Blake and Lil Yachty. 2 artists who come from, honestly, relatively similar parts of the music world. I mean, James Blake has a lot of a trap production history. Lil Yachty is a man who needs no introduction. And, like, both of them have proven their talents, their acquired tastes, if you will,
I mean,
particularly on the Lil Yachty side.
for sure. I mean, James Blake made Kingstead, la di da di da, slap on me knob. Um, and Lil Yachty's very interesting, right? From Colden, Minnesota, like trapping on a Zamboni to, his record Let's Start Here last year, which was definitely a pivot.
A pivot from, kind of jokey, almost
Yeah.
SoundCloud Vine era trap music from the early 2010s onward to a complete, Tame Impala psychedelic sort of shift.
Yeah, that's straight
And
psychedelic rock record where it's like, all right, fuck it. And it wasn't half bad either. That's the impressive thing.
yeah, I think there was like, it was an idea. It was certainly like hit or miss with certain of the ideas there, but like you just have to appreciate an artist who is not just willing to do an artistic pivot like Let's Start Here, but willing to continue challenging himself musically with Bad Cameo. I think like James Blake is a really excellent producer in the ways that we want a producer to be, where you compliment the artist that you're working with, you don't overpower them too much, you just allow them to shine. And James Blake as an artist on his own is a really good, sort of like crooner neo pop R&B style
For sure.
person and a great producer as well. So like really this is a match made in heaven. This isn't necessarily, I don't know, I liked it. I thought everything was pretty solid. I think it's definitely top heavy. This isn't like one of those superstar stuff. Like this is not a Mad Villainy. This is not like a. This isn't like a.
This isn't an Atoms for Peace. This isn't. Mad Villain is a.
This isn't a super collaboration. This is a nice collaboration to have, but this is not
solid.
A super collaboration.
Yeah.
It's maybe a Black Rock, but like even Black Rock had more artists on it, and you just had like the novelty of the Black Keys have not really since produced a rap record like that, and James Blake, I feel like, is producing in a way that's very comfortable. I think it's Lil Yachty that might be, Lil Yachty seems pretty comfortable in a lot of these places here, and he's shown his range absolutely. But once again, he's challenging himself here, and I think the challenge goes really well.
What's that collaboration early 90s of or mid 90s maybe of Mos Def and someone else? I'm totally blanking on it. But that's
Black Star?
Was that Black Star?
Maybe.
Might be. But anyways. But this is a very interesting record where it's
Kweli and Yassine Bey, Mos Def.
That
was Black Star, yeah.
Kind of this is the project that we're trying to like compare projects. It's almost like that in a way where it's really good in a way, but it's definitely it has its hits, it has its misses, comparatively to a Mad Villain type record and whatnot. Collaborative.
Yeah. I certainly like that it doesn't, take itself too seriously. Like it has, you've seen there's some videos online of James Blake and Lil Yachty during the run up to this playing together. I think like Lil Yachty's asking James Blake what song has like made him cry recently, and then James Blake with a straight face plays Walk to Poland by Lil Yachty, and then Lil Yachty goes, okay, what song have you listened to have sex? I don't even want to imagine you having sex, James Blake, but like what song have you listened to? And then with a straight face, he just like once again plays Walk to Poland by Lil Yachty.
Dude, that shit was funny. I love that video so much.
So they have a really good chemistry. They're playful. It reminds me of, here's another one, Black Hippie, the original like Top Dog Super project that we got a reunion from at the Juneteenth show with Kendrick, J-Rock, Ab-Soul, a couple others. Like it's one of those type things. But it's pretty, it starts off really well. I think Save the Savior, In Gray Midnight, if you've heard of James Blake sort of like neo-pop R&B type album, that's pretty much what this is. And I think with those first three songs, especially like In Gray and Midnight, you're really coming in hot.
Yeah, I think I definitely really like those tracks. Even Woo, the fourth one right after Midnight, I think it's kind of a good pick up with it. But it's definitely very airy, almost angelic with the way the production is. And it's interesting with how they work well together in a way, because it's sometimes takes itself seriously and sometimes doesn't, and I like that because for both their personalities, it kind of works out in that way. Um, I think tracks like Woo, Bad Cameo, kind of in the middle there.
Even just the name itself. I mean, like, we gotta once again look at the album cover.
Yeah,
It's like even in that interview we're talking about, Lil Yachty's holding a styrofoam cup and is like laughing at James Blake's deadpan sort of delivery, and you get this sort of, you know, posh and playfulness with the you grimy sort of like middle of America trap music, and that sort of combination there, because neither artist truly fits their stereotype when it comes to their output, really just like they meet super well together. It's
yeah,
like it's the meme of the two like buff arms like meeting in the middle and like clapping hands. Like, it's a really good, and you get that sometimes where like one artist sort of overpowers another. Like, I think you could even look in Mad Villainy, and I think that one of the beauty parts of Mad Villainy is like you can make a case either way of like, is one artist slightly overpowering the other, Madlib versus MF Doom. But I also think that they're evenly matched in that way. This is another, like, again,
very
this isn't
evenly
that
matched.
as good, isn't that good of a project, but it's very evenly matched.
It's very evenly matched. I think I really like this pairing a lot. I think it's great. Or even when you get like Twice, the more like almost trippy trap song in that where it's. I really like the production of this record because it kind of keeps you on your toes in a way with how it is. Sometimes some of the tracks take a long time to develop and to blossom, but they're beautiful in the way. And Lil Yachty really suits this style very well in this way, where sometimes it's auto tune, sometimes it's kind of weird, other times he's actually like trying to sing, trying to sound good, and it's good to have kind of the playfulness of both of them, also with the seriousness in there mixed in as well. And I think it suits the record well, and it suits both James Blake and Lil Yachty very well too. I'm actually impressed with this. I was expecting to go and being like, this is kind of a throwaway almost. It'd be interesting. I might like it, might not. But I was pretty impressed with it. I wasn't expecting it to be like this. Yeah, I like it a lot.
I mean, this is a really good continuation for both of their releases. Is kind of amazing. Like, both
For
their
sure.
release
Yeah,
catalog is one of the things. Like, it's
absolutely.
a good sequel for, you know, James Blake's been doing some interesting things, but I think Friends That Break Your Heart will be his most recent project from 2021, which we're like, it's all right. It's, you know, James Blake kind of working out his sound. It's really hard to replace something like Assume Form, which was just such a really powerfully good record in 2019. This again doesn't do that, but I think it involves James Blake's sound. And another layer of this, so two layers of this. I really like the point you said where sometimes it takes a while to get for the songs to kind of like make their point. I think case in point actually is Run Away from the Rabbit, where it's a fun sort of like title and it's a good song, but it takes a while to really get to that like main point. And, you know, the length of the album is fine. I think I said it earlier, if not 10 songs, 43 minutes long, 44 minutes long. And I think it's a fine length. Blanket phrasing. I think it's a fine length, but it could have been a couple minutes, maybe even 10 minutes shorter. So yeah, I really I think the second layer I was going to add here, which would be like my last point on this, is that if either artist released an album like this, I think it would be a little bit lackluster, and they both really complement each other on this record, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
You know, like it's good to have both of them on this record, because I think just James Blake make like you remove all the Lil Yachty parts and this album's almost in mid territory. You remove all the James Blake parts and keep the Lil Yachty parts, and same thing. It's like, you know, kind of interesting, especially for Lil Yachty's catalog and the general growth artists do in that genre, but it's not quite the same. You put them together and you get a really solid record. Like, you know what? This is like the Mouse and the Mask, the Danger Doom thing, where like, you know, it's a little kitschy. You have to appreciate both of the artists. You have to like roll with their sense of humor. But this could easily become like a early mid 2020s. Oh God, we're in the mid 2020s. I guess this could be considered like a mid 2020s cult classic in a couple years.
Oh,
Please let
absolutely.
that marinate. Whew. Okay.
Man.
While I hit this vape really quickly, I have that thought. Arbitrary scale. Arbitrary scale.
Let me get this pen real quick.
It's like I need to smoke after just realizing that.
And get the jewel out.
Arbitrary scale, we do arbitrary scales every week in Audio Face because our review is our review rather than tell you a letter ranking or a number ranking that is entirely arbitrary on its own. We're just going to be upfront with you and choose a new arbitrary scale most weeks. We have repeated some of them, and you know, every once in a while, like maybe one of us is having a down week, we're gonna have to pull back out the blimp accidents, just like, you know, just dust that off real quick because that just never.
That's the ultimate right there. That's just chef's kiss.
That's just fun. That's just fun. But this week it's going to be, you know, hashtag no politics. But the only thing that this latest panic over Joe Biden's age, which, you know, I think is justified, but I also am cynical based on who it's coming from because these are the people that have been in denial about it for the longest. And all of a sudden it's the money people who are calling the talk show hosts and podcasters, and now we're going to actually take what the left has been saying for the past 4, 8, 10 years seriously. And not even just the left, it's like the rest of the American public. But anyways, the only thing we're missing from this latest scare is a CEO, multimillionaire or billionaire who decides to randomly throw their hat in the ring and use their own funds to run for the Democratic presidential nominee. Last time we had Bloomberg, and we had the Starbucks Union Buster guy. So this time we need another random multi-billionaire. That's gonna be our arbitrary scale. Sean, do you have one?
It's Steven Schwartzman, the CEO of Blackstone.
Oh my god, that's an interesting choice. This is gonna be my, hang on, because I just learned his name. Oh, this is gonna be my Greg Abel. He is the successor for Warren Buffett.
That's a good one.
What better thing to add to Berkshire Hathaway's portfolio than the White House? So just imagine the White House.
Are they buying puts on the White House or what?
Just imagine the White House with one that's like for sale or like in escrow signs that just has Berkshire Hathaway on it. Oh, we live in hell. Okay. Let me get the next thing up and ready to go. Next album we have, getting back used to. Also, I need to also really fast, I saw some comments come in.
Okay.
So I'll read those. Squishmallow Dragon says hi. Thank you for coming out. Good to see you. Anti-Corporatist says, you know the viral Tyla TikTok dance song? Oh, Sean knows it for sure. We're kidding. I've now heard the full song taken from, and damn, it's nasty. I dig it. Tyla, we did review a couple.
We did review.
Like maybe like about a month ago. I occasionally I will figure out what my niece is into. My 11 going on 12-year-old niece. And yeah, I knew Tyla was like something that 11-year-olds were into, based off of just like how it was trending on TikTok. And yeah, my niece trying to do a dance to it or something, which is just,
and that record is whatever. I didn't think it was anything special.
Yeah, definitely not. It was perfectly fine. Definitely not special.
Perfectly fine, but it's fine. It's not, amazing.
There we go. I was like, what? Something's off here. Okay. Sorry, getting the album up. Okay. Next album review that we have, it is Crash by Kehlani. 13 songs, 43 minutes long. I'm noticing a pattern today, and that pattern is over after we're done with this record. And so Kehlani is interesting. I think she was on, like a soft run, like the album she was working on in the mid 2010s I'm thinking like Sweet Sexy Savage from 2017. I'm thinking It Was Good Until It Wasn't from 2020. And even then you start to see like, or While We Wait from 2019 as well. Even with the 2020 record, you were starting to see a little bit of faltering. I remember
sure.
Water was a really good track, but I also remember like this feels a little bit more, you know, a little bit
I mean,
less creatively
I always go back to that record. It was good until it wasn't, because it wasn't very good, because that was when we were getting that. We were getting that thing of, all right, it's this record about love, blah blah blah, and it just was really flat and not very engaging and boring, basically, with that record, especially in 2020 when there was actually quite a bit of decent releases. You had a lot of COVID records and all of this stuff, and beginning of the year was pretty good, and that record was just meh. And it's like always a record that I point to of meh.
Yeah, I remember really feeling that meth, like really, really feeling it, and kind of being disappointed because I know Kehlani has that talent. You get to Crash, which I have interesting feelings about because it reminds me of, and it's in all caps, so it reminds me of the Charlie XCX cover. And it's definitely sort of inspired by it, except that she's on the outside of the car instead of like Charlie XCX being on the inside of the car.
Right.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. That's just like a Microsoft Paint album cover now. So what's the point? And so yeah, this record's a little bit more of like a, I won't necessarily say return to form because I still think there's some issues with it. I think it falters in certain places. But I also think that by listening to this album, I think it has a couple too many songs, but it kept my attention a lot better than It Was Good Until It Wasn't.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think it's definitely more upbeat. It's definitely like an easier listen for sure, where it keeps you attentive on it. But I find it to be still kind of bland in a way. Definitely not. Definitely a step in the right direction. I think this style suits Kalani a little bit more. But then you get like except After Hours, get like this Afrobeats track in here, which I'm like, okay, but it's like, I don't know. It's just, it feels like it's very like, and then right after you have What I Want, which is like a trap song and stuff. Like, you have basically what you're trying to do is like with this record or the production of it, you're listening to it and you're like, okay, well, these are engagement farming record, right? It's just like, okay, try to get some what's hot in the streets, right? Like, what do people
Spawn
want to listen
camping
to?
record.
Spawn camping record. Yeah,
That's a
pretty
new one.
much. It's a good one. I like it. And like that's what I felt like this record was. Like, it's definitely like
Thugnificent's return.
this is great. UPS driver Thugnificent too. Um
My abs, Tom. My abs.
And like, I feel like general pop suits her more than like the more neo pop heavy sound and whatnot. But even that, it's just within, I mean, you had a release 2 years ago, I think, which is Blue Water Road, and that one was okay as well. It's just Kalani now, really, to me, this decade, the 2020s, she's made 3 records in a row that are all just meh. And that's what she's really becoming to me, is just, it's okay. It's nothing crazy. It's nothing like knock your socks off, but there's definitely way better pop artists out there. And it's just, yeah, it's okay.
Just means
It's just what do you mean It just means like, that's exactly what it is. So
going through some of the songs, I think you mentioned After Hours. I like the features. Susia with Jill Scott and Young Miko, and then Tears with Oma Lay. Both were really, really good. And I think, make no mistake, you definitely have someone in Kehlani who's very talented. The latter part of the record is a little bit, other than like Lose My Wife, and maybe Lose My Wife a little bit included too. I think the latter part of the record is a little bit more explorative. It's a little more like singer-songwriter focused. You really get her vocals, vocaling, like she's really good at that. But yeah, I think I'm still recovering from Brat and that sort of like example of growth and humility and vulnerability that you usually don't really get in a lot of
Mhm.
like pop records. And it's not that like this is devoid of that, but you still get the feeling that um Kehlani might be holding back in some ways.
Oh, absolutely. And that's kind of like my point with this is I know there's more that she can do because she's shown it before in her previous records, especially her 2019 record, I think. Yeah, While We Wait. I thought that was actually pretty decent. Um, and just the past couple, it's almost like she's literally trying to play the hits, like just make a popular sounding record, right? That sells and everything. That's what it feels like. So many SKUs. So many SKUs. What am I gonna do walking down these aisles? That's what this album feels like. It's just, yeah.
Yeah. Arbitrary scale, we do arbitrary scales every week on All Your Face because our review is our review. Rather than give you a letter ranking or a number ranking, we will just tell you how we feel about it using an arbitrary ranking system because that is
Mhm.
just more straightforward and honest. This one is going to be CEOs who should or shouldn't just like throw their hat into the ring for office. I'm going to do John Leisure, the old T-Mobile CEO,
Oh,
the
that's a good
uncarrier guy.
one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. You know what
Yeah.
this is? This is absolutely 1000% my Tim Cook. Just as bland, as boring as you can get. Never forget Tim Cook waving a flag at a Formula One race where he's literally like this. Like he's barely waving the flag. It is the funniest shit ever.
Doing the calculations like what will if I wave it too aggressively, what will that do to the Apple stock price? Like it's the Tim Cook would be a way to sneak in communism to the United States. Just let that one marinate.
That might be a new Steam name. Tim Cook leads to communism. That's a good Steam name.
Chairman Tim Cook.
Oh, that's a good
Chairman
one.
Cook.
The honorable
Chairman Tim Apple.
Chairman Tim Apple. The honorable right chairman Tim Apple.
Okay. Did I give one? Oh yeah, I did.
Yeah, you did. T-Mobile.
That's right.
Deutsche Telekom.
Okay.
God's network.
Now we have, as long as you're in the cities, now we have our last album review for this week, The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess by Chappell Roan. 14 songs, 49 minutes long. This album came out in 2023 in September. And it just sort of started like blowing up earlier this part of the year. It would have been one of the things if we did, usually by this point, in addition to our state of the music conversation, we'll do like some music. Yeah. A rap beef happened. Okay. So like calm your ass down. So in the meantime, we'll do one of those at some point. But in the meantime, this was just one that's like has been such a culturally major moment that I would be remiss on the last day of Pride Month to not mention this record, which is just, really put Chappell Roan on the map, not just as like a meme for like queerness in music, but also like, the album itself, the product, it's pretty good. It's like kind of kitschy and like you can tell it's a really like thoughtful, well done out like feeling here. There's a couple of like indie projects that their names are escaping me right now. But they're just like led by like individual women that this like reminds me of that we've reviewed like maybe years ago, right? And yeah, I was just pretty impressed with this overall. Yeah, what you think?
Yeah, I like this record. I mean, it's a decent pop record. I think it plays it safe, but it's fun and whimsical in a way. I think there's some pretty decent tracks here. I think actually the opening track I really like a lot.
Phenomenon. See,
I'm just not even gonna try to pronounce it because like rip. I just saw Bad Lefty's comment, folks. You only got 2 hours of Pride left. Hurry up and do gay stuff.
Well, gotta give the members what they want.
It's time to get your membership ass. What?
Okay. Anyways, we've gotten some bangers out of this one. We've gotten membership ass. We've gotten like spawn camping albums,
Spawn Camp Records / Engagement Farming Records. Yeah, it's good stuff. But getting into the meat and potatoes of this record, I think it's good. I kind of like my biggest complaint is just I feel like maybe towards the end it gets a little long just by the track list. It's 14 songs. It's not like, nearly 50 minutes. I think it could have been a little bit shorter for it especially for a pop record and stuff. I like him to be a little bit more shorter, but it's not.
It's 2024. Let's start to calibrate back towards the 35-minute album trend that we were doing.
Yeah.
Daddy likes that. Daddy likes that.
Yeah, we like that on here. Yeah, exactly. And like, or my thing, if you want to make a longer record, make longer songs. It's fine with me, right? Then it doesn't feel like it kind of drags on in a way. But I like it. I even like the end of the record. Naked Manhattan, California, Guilty Pleasure, I think are 3 great tracks to end it on.
I agree, but I would actually move Pink Pony Club, which I think is just like such a highlight, just like banger album, like song. Too. That could be a great album ender. And I would have felt like if we were doing this on a 1 to 10 scale, I would have added like 2 points to whatever my score was, even if it was like 9 on that alone. Like if it was like
if it ended on it.
Again, I'm now sort of Brad has redefined what I can imagine from a pop record, much the same way that Kendrick Lamar has redefined how you can hate a person. I think that really powerful ending is something that you get in a good song with Guilty Pleasure, but you really got to end with one of those, like, I think Pink Pony Club, which really like sums up the entire experience.
Fair play. I really like Guilty Pleasure as a track because I love the 80 synths on there. It really sounds like Eurythmics sounding, but in a modern way, because that was kind of a complaint I was having in the late 10s, early 20s, was a lot of indie was going to that. A lot of them were either going grunge or a lot of them were going 80s. And sometimes you can make some really good stuff, and other times it sounds where it's just dated or it doesn't sound great on it. I feel like Guilty Pleasure is a great way to pay homage to like an earlier 80s synth sound, but modernize it in a way. And I really, really like that. That's probably, to me, it's probably my favorite on the record, just for that.
It is so hard to spell phenomenon. Anyways, yeah, I think that's totally fair. So I just don't see, the only thing I'm with your review, bigot, I'm just kidding, is that yes, I think it's a little bit long, but I also, it's one of those situations where I don't really think there's like a filler track. There's not a track.
No, there's no filler
in here. There's some things that like I could maybe see this as an EP, but like these are all like really all good tracks. Yeah, they're all like really good tracks. They're all album worthy tracks, and definitely someone who is making a cultural moment and statement right now, and should be someone interesting to watch with her future output. So yes, sorry for taking 8 months to review this.
I'm reviewing it now. I really enjoyed it, and glad we were able to review it. It made me really go back and listen to it, because I heard a couple tracks here and there, but I never gave the album a full listen until now. I'm like, oh, this is actually a pretty good pop record. So indie pop record, I should say, actually. And I mean, just the past year with pop is pretty good. So
yeah, no, this is a 2024,
2024. And you know what's funny in 2024? Every time we review, I always like have them. I go through the tracks, listen to them and stuff. I take notes and stuff because that I'm a fucking music nerd. But you know what's been funny all year? For some God knows why reason, whenever we finish the last record, just as my literally ear cleaning for whatever God knows why reason. It's Story of OJ. I just put Story of OJ on, and like whenever we do quick hits, it's just that credit.
I totally forgot that we did that. I totally forgot that OJ died this year.
That's kind of why I was listening to it, just because the juice is. Oh man, I'm not gonna say that.
Skin.
Yeah.
Skin is black. YOLO. Anyways.
CEOs. Yeah, arbitrary scale.
Yeah, we do arbitrary scales every week on Audio Face because our review is our review, rather than give you a letter ranking system or a numbering system, blah 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 and stuff like that. So this week it is going to be CEOs who should or should not run for president. Sean, for Pride Month, you go first.
Absolutely, Carl Icahn TWA era though. Not our Carl Icahn bitching out buying like shares of JetBlue. Like I don't technically invest, but I do invest. No. I want venture capitalists gutting. Like I want true capitalism. Carl Icahn to rule the White House. Be like, we're gonna gut it all, corporate raid this bitch. We're gonna gut Social Security even more, make Sam Cedar's hair grayer, and it's gonna be great.
That's great. Hold on. I wanted to
pause it for a second.
This is gonna be my Don Voltaggio. He's the CEO of Arizona Beverage Company. The one who's been making the rounds lately is going, yeah, so long as I'm upright and breathing, that bitch is staying 99 cents.
That's that right there. Man of the people right there. That right there. It's they don't make him like that anymore.
Him and the Costco CEO who threatened to murk one of his board members over the suggestion of raising the price of the hot dog. Well, that's the capitalism I like.
Absolutely.
Anyways, now we shall do quick hits. I just need to reset some stuff on here. Bada bing, bada bing. Okay, so that's why I had that on the screen. Bada bing. Okay, upcoming album updates. So this is one. Sophie.
That's interesting.
Sophie, the music pioneer who really invented a lot for the hyper pop sort of genre, which has now just become another tool in the belt for pop musicians to do. Like Charlie XCX is effectively like a total pop musician, but used hyper pop as a sound and has for a while, and has constantly given her flowers to Sophie, even in her most recent album. So it's definitely like a respectful thing. This is a weird one though, because it turns out that the singer's family has announced that Sophie is going to be getting a posthumous record. The family announced the album was, quote, lovingly finalized by those who hold her closest, including Sophie's brother and collaborator and manager, Ben Long. Of course, Sophie died at the age of 34 and at an accidental fall after climbing to watch a full moon in Athens, Greece. And yeah, apparently it was one of those situations where there are like hundreds of tracks in the vault, but wanting to not put everything out and, be a shameless sort of cash grab, like what happened with a lot of artists who had untimely deaths, especially in the electronic music and like SoundCloud rap sort of spaces in the 2010s, where all their demos got and like their worst mixes like got turned into like shameless cash grabs.
I mean, it was bad. Like it was just endless release after release, and you're like, okay, like we get it.
It was a thing,
right? It was like so many were coming out where it's like done, or even
Juice
Mac
WRLD.
Miller, a couple, Juice WRLD, like the amount of posthumous records, Avicii, where that's why we were just getting over posthumous releases, and we really had a pretty solid stance on it.
Yeah, posthumous releases, holograms, just things that don't do justice to the artist. You can really feel that sort of intention. This feels a little bit different, and again, I'm gonna like kind of judge it interestingly because of all the things we just said, but I feel a little bit better about the fact that, okay, one, it's her brother who she was already working with, and it's someone in the family, and so that feels like a little bit better and closer to what she would have wanted. B, you've got BC Kingdom and Kim Petras on the lead single. So like, okay, so we're cooking with gas here. I haven't heard the lead single yet, honestly, but
that would be really interesting.
Yeah. Let's see. And let's just remember she worked with Charlie XCX, Kim Petras, Camila Cabello, Diplo, Madonna, Vince Staples, and therefore Kendrick Lamar. She just had a really
just very pioneering. I mean, we talk about it all the time on here, how much influence she had and everything. So it's just gonna be kind of weird because we tend not to like posthumous records on here, but we're still gonna give it a listen to and whatnot. But always with a grain of salt, because it's never gonna be exactly how an artist wanted it, but at least there's something, and be interesting to see how it sounds and how things are finished up, and then really to hear, if any of them were completely finished by Sophie, or if like the whole record had to have been touched up by her brother and other artists and producers and stuff, and all of that. And that's kind of the hard thing with posthumous records, is that part where it's like, well, they had an idea, they couldn't finish it, or they were sitting on it, right? Then it's different. If they were sitting on it, then it's like, okay, cool, then you go from there. Yeah,
I like what Bad Lefty said. Better than their label boss, at least.
Absolutely.
Like getting those money, yeah. And there will likely be some label that makes some money off of it. But yeah,
of course,
it's much better that their family is really involved in the process. And so,
for sure,
as a big like Sophie fan and a Sophie head, Bad Lefty. As much as I am a big like Sophie fan and Sophie head, really liked that sort of industrial music. Like,
and I'm not like that big a fan of it, but I can appreciate for what it is.
Yeah, I remember introducing you to her, and with songs like It's Okay to Cry, the one where she came out as transgender, which, by the way, Charlie XCX recently just interpolated within her album, where she references Sophie multiple times. Caroline Polachek, St. Vincent, A.G. Cook have all released songs in just the past now 6 months. 6 months that all reference and pay homage to Sophie. Vince Staples has talked about like how much he enjoyed working with Sophie, like just a universally like unloved and beloved and appreciated person who pushed so many boundaries as trans folks have been doing in electronic music and in music in general for years. I was reading something about like one of the first users of like a synthesizer for music was a trans woman in like the 70s. Just like wild stuff. But that's a little not a quicker hit, but like we're definitely gonna listen to that record and we're gonna see like how good it does. I would be really impressed if what she was working on was so avant-garde that even her posthumous releases start to inspire like other artists.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
That would be knocking it out of the park. And like, I hate to give it such a high expectation, but we definitely, like you said, gonna give it high scrutiny because of posthumous releases kind of feeling icky.
Yeah, they never feel great. The only time is when it's like, hey, they were going to release this, like it was already scheduled on the calendar, blah blah blah, and then they passed. Okay, I can live with that, right? But these ones where it's a few years after someone's death, and it's always leaves you the little bit of a salty taste in your mouth a little bit. So
brother, okay, so the Grammys have
an album.
Yes. Also, that's really annoying because the link got changed around. But I'm gonna put the new one in. Anyways, the Grammys have or the Recording Academy, which is the people behind the Grammys. They have announced that, as they do annually, they have invited almost 4,000 different musicians, recording industry professionals to join its member class. These are the folks who are part of this, like Recording Academy. They oftentimes will vote on even an album. Can I just say the CEO of or like the guy we get that thing from, and so context. the person who leads the Recording Academy, whose name is I'm trying to Google it right now. Harvey Mason Jr. That's right. As the president and CEO of the Recording Academy, he was trying to defend some of the Grammy nominations and the picking process because there have always been some like really weird issues, and there's been some like racial things with that too. And in his his defense of the institution of the Grammys was like, listen, people don't understand this, but we work really hard at the Recording Academy. We listen to a lot of albums. Sometimes we'll even listen to a full album in order to like get a sense of what albums we nominate. And it's just like, sometimes you even listen to a full album. We've been doing these bitches twice since 2017.
Yeah,
at least twice.
With full-time other jobs and commitments, and we do this for the love of the game.
Yeah, with a slight exception. We will tell you when we're not going to listen to a full record.
Oh,
there's definitely been, I've definitely, we talked about this with like Fall Out Boy, but this,
yeah, there's exceptions. There's the high hopes bullshit of fucking Panic at the Disco, and there's anything that Fall Out Boy touches, that's just automatic. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
There's a video,
but I will sit down and still state why be better scale. So
there are people who are dancing to the Cupid Shuffle at the press event that Biden went to immediately after getting mollywopped in that debate.
I fucking hate liberals. Oh my god,
I hate it here. Happy 4th of July in California. Anyways, in case you hear the fireworks happening but outside me,
it's real out here.
But yeah, this time they really wanted to emphasize, apparently, well, here's the stats they released about this. The Recording Academy is going woke. Just kidding. But just to put it on the screen here, the Recording Academy today extended membership invitations to more than 3,900 established music professionals, underscoring the Academy's commitment to inclusivity and representation within the music industry. The 2024 new member class invitees is 45% women, 57% people of color, and 47% under the age of 40. With this new year's new member invitees, the Recording Academy is on track to achieve its goal of adding 2,500 women voting members by 2025, and the Academy is set to achieve that milestone 1 year ahead of schedule. So usually you apply by like March 1st to potentially be in the Academy, and then you get invited and you can kind of like choose if you want to be a part of it or not. That is, and like Dua Saleh, a couple of like other producers and artists I know like from LA got in or like got invited, and so like that's really interesting. It's nice for me to like physically see, okay, these are people who I trust in the music industry, who have done like well on their own, who are probably going to do justice to not only their genres but like a certain standard and quality of music, and also the representation of that music too. So that's almost one of our like more music business worldwide slim picking stories in a while, but I think that's really interesting and good context to note that at least on paper the Grammys are claiming to make these choices. I think that based on of a very small anecdotal sample I have in my own networks of who is getting these invitations, they are really trying. It is more women, it is more people of color, and hopefully that just leads to better recognition and representation, not only of the music that the Grammys are often missing and the, people who deserve their awards that often aren't getting it, but crucially, just like approaching the process differently, like, thinking of what we're rewarding in music necessarily, and like, what we're uplifting. Anyways, Drake said at one point that no one knows who he is in Compton, that he never gives back. Cut to this week where Kendrick Lamar and his, content production organization PG Lang and Free Lunch team up to donate about $200,000 to a whole list of LA charities, a really long list of LA charities. Everything Drake says, and it's for people who have paid attention, this isn't just like Drake bullied Kendrick Lamar into giving back to his community. Like, he's done the King Kunta video was filmed in the Compton swap meet. Like, these the Good Kid, Mad City van that Drake was like, oh, I'm gonna squash this in the video and make it all cool. That's taken in front of a house in Compton, right? Like he's constantly like back there. He's giving back in his own way. He just isn't the type of person to constantly be outside and like flaunt things. That's just not his style. So
Yeah.
that's everything. Drake is going to release something later this year.
Oh, I can't wait.
It always happens. In fact, it's summer, it's July. We've often gotten Drake releases in June. Any day now we'll get a Scary Hours. Like it's going to be really funny. And this is just going to be the most bitter man on earth. He's gonna be doing all these subliminals and all this other like, you know, subtle digs and things like that, and everyone's just gonna be like,
amazing.
"You, them superpowers get neutralized. I can only watch in silence."
Embassy gonna get raided.
Not again. Gotta watch out for those able shooters. Right, there's my rundown there. Lastly, to end Audio Face on not necessarily a fun note, but like all of these people are great note. But
Speaking
Mustafa the poet has launched an Artists for Aid concert in London to benefit humanitarian aid efforts in both Palestine and Sudan, which is, you know, great to mention. Not that Palestine shouldn't deserve any sort of attention, but if we're going to be caring about these same things, let's also apply a more world approach to it. But watch Power Report for more. But you have Daniel Caesar, Earl Sweatshirt, King Cruel, Nicholas Yar, Rami Youssef, comedian Yassine Bey, Blood Orange, Mustafa, of course, and it's going to be July 4th in London. And it's really good. It's really good. Mustafa's also really been hitting with songs like Gaza is Calling. I think they played part of that on Democracy Now. I'm like, okay, nice. It's really miraculous how much new music I get from Democracy Now, or how much new music they play. Oftentimes we'll review it first because we're like the immediate weekend after it comes out, but usually the following week or two later I'll hear like, this happened with Dinosaur Jr. I first noticed it whenever it was the last time we did a Dinosaur Jr. record, and I'm like, yo, what?
Super random. They played Maddie and the Boys. They played Radiohead, Smile. Like
hearing Amy Goodman go, such and such by King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. This is Democracy Now.
You're like, what? I just want Amy Goodman to be like, and new single from Chuk. This has been Democracy Now. I just want that.
2024. Please God.
Or even no. This right here is how we end Audio Faces. It's been Amy Goodman with setting you off with the horrors, and then it's just Dan and I just like it's
with
game over.
Machine by the Horrors.
That's it. It's game over. You've made it.
Yes, this has been Audio Face. Thank you very much for listening and watching and joining on the stream this Sunday. Anticorp was saying Gaza calling, like London calling. Yeah, I think so.
Kind of.
Annie Corpus says Dinosaur Jr. Dead Nice either in 1994.
Probably did.
That rocks.
Probably did. They've been up for a long time.
Dan with his 3-day aged sweet tea. I was talking, so I've been brewing tea lately, just as like a, you know, fun summer hobby, because I have a lot of tea in large part thanks to your mom.
Has a lot of
and I like a lot of tea, but I'm in California in the summer. I'm not gonna be making hot tea all the time. Like, that's what am I, Joey Bananas? So
hey,
yeah, so I gotta dig that up so I can put that on the soundboard here.
Please. Please.
But yeah, so I've been just like brewing tea. I've been able to like get through tea. And so I've been like this batch, which is kind of like a, you know, getting rid of the remaining tea bags from the flavors I've already done, is like terrible. It's my absolute worst batch. But my other 3 batches were amazing, especially the Earl Grey sweet tea, which Bam gave me a lot of shit for. But I'm like, listen, dude, Don't knock it to you.
Why they Bam? Well, don't listen to Bam. Bam eats pomegranates like straight from the source with a spoon, and that was his profile picture for years. All right, pomegranate Bam. You can judge him all you want.
1994 was kind of a blur. It's when I turned 21. I thought that was like a Blur reference because they were also pretty big in 1994. But
that would be funny.
Let's see. Oh yeah. Anyways, yes, this has been Audio Face. Thank you very much for listening and watching. Traditionally, we do a break week around the 4th of July holiday weekend, just because the music industry also does a break week during the 4th of July holiday weekend. And so we will probably be keeping up with that tradition. But this is going to be a summer where more music continues to come out. So please stay tuned to that. Also, we have Power Report, and that's going to be continuing on. And so we appreciate you with that. Anything else, Sean?
That's it. Stick your hand in the cash register.
Their money is your money now. Thank you for listening to AudioFace. You can follow us at audioface.show for everything. And you should, because everything is just there. Also, shout out to the AudioFace YouTube channel for allowing me to live stream the debate, because that would have been terrible if the main channel got nuked, because that's the only monetization we can do on YouTube. So thank you all for supporting us, and we will be back most likely in 2 weeks. Thank you very much, and cheers.
Bye. As my fucking right as I glitch out, gotta love it.
No, you're coming in, but I need to end the stream now, so give me a second. Bye.